guys? It's your girl, the Master Key with Electric Dollar Bills, here with another video for you guys. Today I would like to talk about cash buyers. This is a very important topic, very important subject when you're speaking about investing and specifically the wholesaling strategy and real estate investing. So let's say you got a fire deal, or you got a deal finally under contract, everything's rolling smooth for you, and now you're wanting to get to the next step to get you closer to closing, closer to getting that check in your hands, closer to you going to the bank and depositing that, right? So the one thing that's keeping you from taking that trip to the bank is finding yourself a cash buyer. So I'm going to tell you guys my favorite ways of finding cash buyers. In this market right now, currently, I've used some of these strategies longer than others, but every single one of these ways I found a real bona fide buyer and was able to close transactions using these strategies. So I'm going to share them with you guys today. Let you know some of my secrets, my secret strategies. And honestly, guys, they're all very simple. You don't have to go doing all this crazy stuff, going to get these crazy softwares, buying these crazy lists, and all of these things. You got to remember, real estate is about relationships, and ultimately the best way to build a real relationship is to build it by bringing a deal to the table and having a conversation with someone. So you can call these lists, you can mail these people and waste all this money and time doing all of that. If you like to, that's fine. I'm not knocking anybody who do that. But ultimately, you're going to want to have a real deal in hand if you're going to do that. So once these people do start calling you back, and you get on the phone with these people, you're going to have a deal, because that is going to make them remember you. So if you're calling, like, I'm just being real with y'all, because I've done it. I've done it over the years. You call these people and you be like, hey, yeah, I'm an investor and I get deals all the time. What are you looking for? Can I take down your name, your number? Like, all of that is fine. But ultimately, you need to keep following up. The relationship sticks a little bit if you're like, hey, I got a property on this street. I see you bought one on that same street or the next street. Are you interested? Like, they're going to remember you more. Y'all going to have a better conversation and a better time that way. So just remember this stuff as you're going out there and you're investing your time, your energy, and your money getting into real estate wholesaling. So the first way that I am going to say I like to find cash buyers, this is actually the way that I found my very first buyer for my very first transaction. And I'm going to do a video on that whole, I'm going to break down the entire deal from beginning to end of my very first transaction, how much I made, all of that. I'm going to break that down for you guys on another video. But it was through a realtor. So this is one way that you definitely can get your deal. So it's partnering up with realtors. So I found a realtor who was renting out properties, and I reached out to him. I gave him a call and I said, hey, I see you guys rent out properties in this area. I have a property in that area for sale. Do you have a buyer that might be interested in purchasing it? And he said, yeah, I do have a buyer. He's very specific. I don't want you wasting his time, so give me the information of the property. I gave him all the information of the property. We went ahead and set up a walkthrough. He pulled up, seen the property. His buyer was able to put an offer in. I think I countered maybe one time or two, and we came up with an agreement, and boom, we went straight to title, and that was the deal closed for me. So partnering up with realtors, specifically realtors that work with buyers and investors, specifically, those are going to be great connections to your buyers. So that is one way, partnering up with realtors. The next way that you can sell your properties is going to be other wholesalers. other investors, right? So I have a handful of people who I know are out there doing deals all the time, and they have their buyers list. I have my buyers list, and no matter what, like when I get a property under contract, obviously I market to my buyers list first. Obviously, I call a couple of real buyers that's actually buying for themselves. I call those guys first, but I always call my other wholesale guys and girls that's out there that I know that's really doing deals, and I shoot them the property as well and let them know and say, hey, do you got a buyer for this? I have no problem splitting the fee um, at all if they bring a buyer to the table, because at the end of the day, my goal as an investor, with the strategy of wholesaling, the most important thing for me is time. So I want to get this property sold as quick as possible. Yes, some people say I want the most money. I say I want the most money and the quickest transaction. So I just want to get it sold. That's most important to me. And if it may take me 6 months to sell it and I get $10,000, or it's going to take me 1 month to sell it and I get $5,000, I'm going to take the $5,000 all day long. But that's just me specifically. So I definitely always reach out to other investors, always reach out to other wholesalers and shoot them your deals. Build relationships with them though. Don't just send your properties out to anybody. Don't do that. You want to call these people, build relationships with them, see what they're doing, make sure that they have a track record, make sure that they're out there really doing deals and they're not like super new and they don't know what they're talking about, and because they could ultimately mess your whole stuff up. They can mess up your whole shabam if they don't know what they're doing. So obviously you want to, meet with them, maybe have a nice phone call with them, have a conversation, check up on them every now and again, ask questions. Okay, what areas do you like? What's working for you? XYZ. And this is really important too when you're breaking in a new market, to just see what the other investors out there are doing, what strategies, what areas are tougher to sell in, what type of properties are tougher to sell, like all of these different type of things. I'll also make a video about that, about what type of questions that you just want to ask other investors, other wholesalers out there, so you can partner up with them. And I'm telling you, you can do many more deals when you partner up with other investors. So that's my second way of finding a buyer for your transactions. Let's keep it rolling. My next way is going to be Facebook Marketplace. So I was able to sell a property on Facebook Marketplace before. I've sold a few properties possibly, but I obviously sold a lot of stuff on Facebook Marketplace. But I started using it for real estate as well, and it's actually been really good. Honestly, to keep it all the way 100 with you guys, maybe not because I do a lot of creative financing now. So some of my transactions, I get a much bigger return than you would if you do like a regular wholesale strategy. But like one of my regular just flat out checks, like wholesale deals, like the most that I've ever made came from a Facebook Marketplace buyer. And this particular buyer, he was a guy that was purchasing properties for buy and hold. You guys will realize that people who are actually purchasing properties to keep as a long-term investment, they can pay a lot more than the guy who's doing a fix and flip, or the guy who's buying for his clients that's overseas and XYZ. And we'll get into that too at another time, because that is also a great buyer. When you have these overseas buyers, that's a whole nother video though. That's a whole nother conversation. We'll have to talk about that later. But when you find buy and hold investors that are actually just going to fix these properties up and keep it for themselves, or they might even have a family member. I think he said he had a family member he wanted to move in who was having trouble getting financing. So he said, hey, I'll be the bank. I'll finance it for them. So he fixed it up, put some work into it, and then they can just give him their down payment ultimately, or whatever his strategy may be. I don't really care as long as, the check clear on my end. So I met this gentleman, and he already had like a few duplexes a few properties, and I'm just speaking on one particular property that I remember specifically. It was a very, very large check that I got off of that purchase that he made, in that agreement that I was able to flip. So this particular property was in a nice area. Okay, it was what you would call a suburban area. It wasn't in the city. And up until this point, I had did majority of my transactions in the city. I only had a couple of in the suburbs every here and there. And then one of the ones that I had did previously in the suburbs, I had a large fee on it because it was a JV. I was splitting the funds with somebody else, and it was actually quite small. But it was good because I had a lot of other transactions closing at the same time. But that don't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. It's still, time and effort and all that type of stuff. So suburb properties, I just really wasn't spending a lot of energy marketing them. But this particular one, I did. I received this one, and it was out of state. It was an out of state seller, and the property, was just, it was distressed. I mean, when I say distressed, it was very, very, very distressed. I mean, it was bad. But the bones of the properties was solid. It had a garage, the yard was nice, the lot was good, it was on a great street. So ultimately, it was a good house. But I had ran it by majority of my buyers. Nobody really wanted to mess with it because it was just too much work. And then I ended up sending it over to one of my JV guys, and he ultimately wanted to purchase it, but he wasn't willing to pay as much as this gentleman that I found on the Facebook marketplace. And he was going to take longer. He probably was going to need 45 days or so to close. So this guy was like, hey, I can go to the bank and get the money right now, get the cashier's check, and we can do this. So I went ahead. It was a couple of things that I had to do to make sure that everything went smoothly. And yeah, we were able to close. It was smooth. It was good. And it was a very, very nice payday that I was able to get from that transaction. So Facebook Marketplace, please do not sleep on Facebook Marketplace. Definitely post your deals on there because Facebook gets a lot of eyes. All right, moving along. My second, well, actually we're on 4. So see, I numbered it from 5 to 1, but I don't want to talk about it like that. Like, I'm not doing it like that. So this is actually number 2, but it's really number 4. So just mind me because I got it in my head. I know what I'm talking about. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about, but I know what I'm talking about. So anyway, my second to top way, which is 4 for you guys, is Facebook groups. Facebook groups. Have I'll be real with you guys. I put Facebook group at the top of the list, and I'm trying to really think, have I ever even sold any properties off of these Facebook groups? I don't know if I have. Honestly, guys, I don't know if I have. But these groups are very, very, very powerful. They're so powerful. And the reason why they're so powerful to me is because you can build a very large buyers list very quickly in these Facebook groups. And you can just get so many relationships and meet so many different type of people. You can see other deals. You can do JVs. It's so much that you can get out of these Facebook groups. I promise you, you have to go. Just get on Facebook and search your area, and just put real estate. And I'm telling you, you'll be straight to fame. It's awesome. I love these Facebook groups. I'm a part of a few of them in my markets. But like, honestly, a lot of the people that's in the groups, like from one of my main markets, I already knew majority of the people. And then you meet more people. But it's like, once you get to a certain point, you'll find out quickly that you don't really, like, a buyer's list don't really mean too much to you, especially right now. Like, we're in a buyer's market. Like, I don't need any more buyers. I mean, you always can use more buyers, honestly, because different type of properties. But what I'm trying to say is, when you build your buyers list up to a certain amount and you get a property, you're going to know who you can call that's going to buy it right away. I mean, it just gets like that. That's just what it is. So, but also, you do get properties sometimes that nobody on your buyers list really wants to touch. But the property has to get sold. So honestly, I've been able to build such a strong buyers list in my main market where I started yes, a few years back. You know, I have so many connections. I know so many people. Like, there's no property that I can't get sold in that city. I mean, it's not. I can make one phone call, so done. And it's just because I've built so many strong relationships, and they have strong buyers lists, and they have so many relationships. So it's just like, it's done. One phone call, done. It's not a property that I can't sell. But when you go to a new market, you might maybe not have that strong of a pool yet. So you do have to put that footwork in ultimately. And these Facebook groups is, I'm telling you, like, you can build you a solid buyers list very quick. And then you also know who the heavy hitters are. You know who's really buying and who's really not, who's kicking tires and stuff. So these Facebook groups are, I'm telling you, man, they are fire. So I'll post a property on there. I'll get like 30 buyers for my list. And then somebody else will post a property. Then I could take 30 more of those people. And then somebody else posts a property, and I can get those buyers too. And just add them to my list. So that's why these Facebook groups are very, very powerful. Have I sold any properties through them? I'm really trying to think. I can't think of one. But I definitely have established relationships, and I definitely have people who are available and ready to purchase if the right type of property comes along. It's just a simple point that the properties that I had, someone who I already knew or someone who I acquired through different ways, I sold it that way. And with that being said, I probably sold it this way, and this is why it's number one on my list. The fifth way to find buyers, number one on my list, still undefeated, guys. I'm telling you, if you're not using this platform, you are doing yourself a disservice. You're sleeping, man. Like, come on, you gotta be using this platform. Number one, and still undone, Craigslist. Craigslist is my favorite way to find buyers. Let me say that again. Craigslist is my favorite way to find buyers. Why? I don't know. I've sold so many properties on Craigslist. I can't even keep track. I promise you, I've sold so many properties on Craigslist. I found so many buyers on Craigslist. Where, like, relationships, like, okay, so I was telling you guys earlier about the realtor that I linked up with for my first property. So that buyer was buying a lot of my properties in my beginning years. Well, guess what? I got a property under contract that was solid. And that buyer just kind of turned his nose up to me and was just like, nah, we're not going to put an offer in. Something's wrong with something. So in my mind, me still being kind of green, but that's why these are all learning lessons. Me still being kind of green, I'm like, well, shit. He don't want to put an offer in on it. He said this thing that needs to be done in the back is a big deal. So I dropped the price on the property. I think I was at like 18 at the time. I dropped the price all the way down to 13. I put it on Craigslist, and I got a buyer instantly. And this particular buyer that I have received, this guy, me and him are like this now. And me and him has done like 30 transactions, between 30 to 50 transactions together. Easy. Just me and him. Just us. This one buyer that I found on Craigslist. And that's just one buyer. That's not to mention I've had a ton of other properties that I sold on Craigslist with other buyers. I can't even remember. I can't even keep count. I can't even keep count of how many buyers and transactions that I have done on Craigslist. Craigslist is undefeated. And a property that I have under contract right now that is about to close this week. Craigslist. I mean, I can't even take you guys through it. You guys wouldn't even believe, like, all these buyers that I'm finding on Craigslist. Like, Craigslist is the place. Like, and I know some people may post something on there and they might not got the results that they maybe wanted, but I'm telling you, you can sell anything on Craigslist. Any type of property, Craigslist. Like, Craigslist is still undefeated. So it's very important that you're using this platform to get your deals sold. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Everybody goes there. Wholesalers, in town investors, out of town investors, real estate, realtors, whole landlords, they all are on Craigslist. So you get you a property, post it on Craigslist. Now, with that being said, there are some tricks. It's some tricks and strategies that you're gonna want to put it in when you put it out there. One thing that I'm going to say with Craigslist and also all of these platforms that I told you today, if you're posting it somewhere, do not put the address on the post. You know, I still see to this day a lot of people who got the address on the post, and I just be like, you know, that's just setting yourself up for failure. For one, you're violating the seller. You know, I'm sure the seller wouldn't want their address blasted on Craigslist. For two, you just opening up a back door for somebody to come in and just do grimy stuff to you. Like, it's so many reasons why posting your personal address online is not okay. Don't post the address. And then also, there's certain things that you want to put in the ad. I would just say, just put the information. I put the area. So when you go on Google Maps, wherever the house is, it's like an area. I put the name of that area. I sometimes put cross streets. Sometimes I'll put the exact street. Like, it's nothing wrong with putting the street, city, zip, everything. Just don't put the physical house address. And then I put how many beds, how many baths, square footage, all the type of repairs that needs to be done. I put as many pictures as possible. And yeah, just do that. I put a phone number. So don't be one of the people that just leave the Craigslist email up there. If you guys aren't getting people responding to you and you're doing that, that's probably why. Because real investors, they're going to go in there and see, like, oh, this person don't have a real number. They don't have a real email address. It's a scheme. It's a scam. This really isn't their property. That's what they're going to think, because that's what I think. I don't ever reply. It don't matter how good the deal seems to be. If there's not a phone number on there where I could pick up the phone and call somebody, I don't even mess with it. So you got to look at it like that too. Put a phone number on there. Obviously, don't put your physical cell phone. I mean, if you have to, okay. But you're professional. You want to, this is a business. You got to look at this as a business, guys. Don't put your personal cell phone on there. It's so many ways you can get a phone number. Go get a Google Voice number and throw that on there. And just go in the settings and make sure you take off the front end announcement. So take off, so when people call, make sure it don't be like, the Google Voice number is, like, take that off. Because when somebody call you and they hear that, they're going to know, like, either you a newbie, you're not real, you don't know what the heck you're doing. It's just going to give all red flags. I still let the call go. I still let it ring through. When I call somebody and say, the Google Voice, I still go through, because I want to talk to this person who got this still on in their settings, just to be like, what are you doing? But you are professional. You are, ahead of the game. Take that off. Just go to settings, and it's like an announcement or something to say in there. Take the announcement off. Use that number. Go ahead, boom, pop that on the ad. Let people know that they can call you or text, and put the property up there. And I'm telling you, you're going to find a buyer. You're going to find a buyer. Craigslist, undefeated. So that's all I got for you guys. Those are my top ways of finding buyers in this market today, and the market last year, the market 3 years ago. It all still works. I wish I knew some of this stuff sooner, but I'm learning more ways. Maybe I'll have some new ways for you next year, but right now I'm rocking with these ways. And also, I'm going to make a video about, just breaking some of this information down, like how, so I can show you guys specifically how to do some of this stuff. If you need some answers now, go ahead and check me out on Instagram at Electric Dollar Bills. That's bills with a S at the end. Go ahead and send me a friend request, and then go ahead and inbox me any questions that you guys may have. I'll be happy to help you guys out. But just remember, guys, we're in a buyer's market right now. I'm sorry, not a buyer's market. We're in a seller's market right now. So that means buyers is everybody got money to buy, and it's finding the properties is, that's the goal right now. So if you could find some good deals, you the man or the woman in your city. So go out there, find some deals. The buyers is going to come. They're going to come like crazy, and they're going to start throwing money at you and stuff like that to buy your properties. If it's a deal, though. And another way to find out if your property is a deal. So let's say you got a property under contract and you're putting it out there some of these ways that we talked about, and you're not getting any responses, or you're just not getting the responses that you want. Just call other wholesalers and other investors, and just give them the information, send them the pictures, and say, hey, a property like this, where would you need to be? And they'll tell you. That's another thing. That's a bonus tip that I have for you guys today. Real buyers, they'll always make an offer. The only time they won't make an offer is let's say they need to be at 30, you're asking 50. Obviously, that's a big gap. But you can still go and ask them. I do it all the time. I'll be like, all right, you can't even see the property. What did you think? They'll tell you what they thought. And you'd be like, where would you need to be on a property like this? And then they'll tell you. And I just like that, because I get an idea of, where I need to be. And honestly, like right now, with the market being the way it is, like all these properties might not be good for a wholesale flip. It might not be. You might have to get some creative financing. Like if this buyer is saying, 30, 30 is where I need to be. Maybe I have it under contract for 30 and I need to sell it for 40. So maybe those numbers just don't work, and I need to get creative and do some other type of ways. So that's just some stuff, I want you guys to think about. Every property isn't a wholesale property, but it don't even matter. Like with the market the way it is right now, like it's money. It's so much money out there. So much money out there. So, that's all I have for you today, guys. Thanks for watching this video. It kind of got a little longer than I anticipated, but thank you for staying to the end. Had throw that little bonus in there for you. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Definitely you subscribe. That's going to help us get this content out to more people. Go ahead and like this video. That'll be doing the same thing. And go ahead and drop some feedback in the comments. Let me know how you guys are liking it. Let me know what you guys need help with. Any questions that you may have as to getting started in real estate, focusing on the niche of wholesaling, or anything else that you may be interested in saying. I would love to hear it, and I love connecting with you guys. So until the next time, peace and welcome to the Money Club.